Hi people, it's Archivist here, and today we're going to be talking about Anthem, the latest cock-up from EA/BioWare, the action RPG, cooperative, online, future, looter, shooter, grabber, whatever. Wow, I did not expect this game to go down for this reason. I thought it would be the microtransactions that killed it, because up to release, that's what everyone was talking about. It's like, what are they going to do? How are they going to milk us this time? How are they going to exploit the children who can't help themselves but gamble? Yeah, okay, well, that aside, realistically, this game is not down because of the microtransaction. It's because of the game itself. It's actually not a good game, which kind of surprised me. I really thought this would be a really fantastic game that I have to sort of tell everyone the microtransactions aren't that bad, but then the game is actually like really good. But no, it's actually not like that. The microtransactions are relatively inoffensive because it's just cosmetic and they're not overly expensive, but the actual game itself is not done yet. It's remarkably undercooked, which is crazy because it's been 6 years. Somehow we've seen the crackdown effect happen once again, where a long development cycle has not yielded an impressive result, and it's kind of fascinating when you look at it holistically. This game has a really great concept. It's this futuristic, otherworldly game with RPG components and these four relatively distinct classes. You've got the Iron Man effect, where you can fly through the sky, you can rain missiles down, you can fight aliens in suits that talk in perfect English, and you can shoot like giant bugs with weird white sacks. I don't know. But it's the execution of what should have been a flawless concept that has let Anthem down, unfortunately. But this is the thing. This game, for all I have just said, is not an outright terrible game. It is a game with an interesting concept, with good intentions in places, a decent combat system, and kind of cooperative mechanics that have something to be said for them. But something that can never be underestimated is how important it is to get the technical components of your game right. There is nothing fun about having to sit through multiple loading screens just to get to your loadout and change it. There's nothing fun about seeing oscillation between 25 frames and 30 frames when most gamers consider 30 frames per second to be your bare minimum in terms of performance budget. There's nothing interesting about getting different armor where the only true difference are the statistics upon them, and the appearance is almost benign. You can't really see any difference. But then again, the flying in this game is undeniably quite fun. It's even got an interesting cooling mechanic where you can't fly indefinitely. You have to try and keep your engines cool either by flying in segments, or you can skim across a lake and cool yourself that way, or go under a waterfall. It's quite interesting and it works quite well. And the graphics can look good, and I stress the word can. In open daylight, I think this game at times can look beautiful and shows the true power of Frostbite. But at its worst, I think usually in nighttime segments, it becomes incredibly flat and boring, and so you end up with a game that looks both unimpressive and doesn't run well, which is the worst of both worlds. And that is, to be fair, not unique to Anthem. I know a lot of games that have this massive contrast in how good they look based on the time of day. But you've also got like this sort of dichotomy here in terms of what the game wants to be. On the one hand, you've got Fort Tarsis, this area you walk around while you've presumably got like your ankles buckled together, and you slowly go around talking to NPCs in a first-person perspective. And anyone else find it interesting that like Destiny does its open world and its missions in first person, its hub in third person, and then Anthem does its hub in first person and its open world in third person? I don't know why that is, but you do that. You walk around and you talk to NPCs, and you get bits of story, you get some decisions you can make in conversation, though they generally don't mean much. It's nothing like a important narrative decision. It's just, oh, I quite like what you said, or I hate what you said, or I sort of don't care about what you said. But It's a hub, you can walk around, and it's basically BioWare trying to get a little bit of what they do best into the game. And then you've got this very, very separate feeling because of the massive loading screens in between, missions and open world sections where you go around and you sort of do things for some reason. And when looked upon in isolation, the elements of this game aren't terrible. I mean, the combat is fine. It's nothing, I'd say, spectacular or revolutionary. It's not like the latest Platinum game where you play it and you think, wow, they've nailed this. It just works fine. And when you go to Fort Tarsis, you think this isn't the best storytelling ever, but the voice acting is pretty good and the characters are sufficiently quirky. But as a whole, it just doesn't really make sense. What we have here is a lack of gelling. Let me refer to a game from a completely different genre, but I will make the comparison nonetheless. God of War from last year. This had this sort of beautiful merging of narrative and gameplay where there was never a broken moment in terms of the camera, so it was always very seamless, and what you did in the gameplay undeniably and tangibly impacted the story, and it was very immediate and very appreciable. But now we have this game where it almost feels like there's a story being told and there's gameplay happening, and there is some sort of loose relation, though it's not entirely sure what it is. I don't hate Anthem. I bought Anthem of my own volition. No one put a gun to my head and said, buy this EA title, you sick bastard. I got it because I wanted to get it, and because the concept is intriguing, and it is a live service, and it may get better. But to someone who does not find the concept utterly intriguing and fascinating, to someone who is a gamer who wants to play a good game, then Anthem is not for you, because Anthem is not a good game yet. It may be a good game. It may be a fantastic game in a year. It might pull a No Man's Sky and just completely reverse all of its shortcomings. But for now, for the here and now, this game is glitchy, it's unimpressive, and it's lackluster. But it may get better. That being said, there is an audience for this game at the moment. There may be people, and I am certain there are people who do enjoy this game because it does have something there. There are sort of little glimpses of brilliance within the mess. But in terms of recommending it, particularly as it is a full price game, I couldn't do that in good conscience. But I can say keep an eye on it in the background, wait, because there is something here to salvage. As always, people, thanks very much for watching, and see you next time.